Please be seated.
The passion of today's youth has the force to dismantle stigmas, spark conversations, and pave the way for a brighter and more empathetic tomorrow.
Good afternoon, everyone. I, Ahadari Sachidina, the editorial coordinator,
And I, Arya Sabu, the cultural coordinator,
would like to extend a warm and cordial welcome to all our distinguished guests and host members to the concluding ceremony of our inaugural Mental Health Awareness Conclave, hosted by the trailblazers of Delhi Private School, Sharjah.
today we don't just conclude a program, we mark the beginning of a cultural shift where compassion is supreme and mental health takes center stage.
Our esteemed Vice Principal, Ms. Sunita Sadhu, has consistently helped to cultivate a learning center, a commitment which is evident throughout the school's fabric. Ma'am, we request you to welcome the August gathering and to set the tone for an enriching and memorable event.
Mental health is not a destination. Mental health is not a destination. It is a rewarding process. These were the catchy lines of our inaugural ceremony. You are what you think. A very good afternoon to each and everyone present here. It's my proud privilege to welcome each and everyone to this Mental Health Conclave project, Project Unboxed 2023. I deem it my privilege to warmly welcome Ms. Rama Sharma, our chief guest of the day. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for being here. Ms. Rama Sharma is a distinguished figure and a spokesperson of CBSE. Your expertise on mental well-being will unlock a new portal in education. I warmly welcome you, ma'am. Can we have token of it? Yes. Dr. Pramod Mahajan, Principal SIS. Sir, thank you for making it out of your busy schedule. We know you had an event at your school and you still made it. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Our project Unboxed is a novel concept in the UAE, and our principal and director, Vandana ma'am, is the main impetus behind this. Ma'am, I wholeheartedly welcome you to this closing ceremony. A 360-degree chronicling of the life of a student may at times be impossible due to the mental stature this generation has. DPS Sharjah is privileged to play catalyst in being together, in bringing all the doyens of the field to steer the youth towards this quality future. A very warm welcome to our panel of eminent personalities from the fields of medicine, food and health, nutrition, and education and health. Thank you so much for being here. A warm welcome to all my colleagues to join us in this commendable venture. A hearty welcome to our students who exemplify the robust future of tomorrow. Over the years, we have been organizing various events to ensure that they get a wider canvas to explore themselves and to feel the pulse of the latest beyond curriculum. I also take this opportunity to congratulate the team of Project Unboxed, headed by Ms. Elizabeth. It is indeed my pleasure to welcome you all once again to this closing ceremony that hinges on a very pertinent topical issue, which is mental health. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Dear audience, today is a significant milestone in our path to proactive transformation. In a symbolic demonstration of our commitment to mental health, we have officially launched our mental well-being helpline by our esteemed chief guest this morning. Our students can avail themselves of this resource to contact our school counselors around the clock. This initiative will promise of hope, healing, and a brighter future for all.
Let us now take a moment into the profound insights gleaned from our impactful council sessions. These sessions have been instrumental in shaping the narrative of our mental health awareness program. Here are the highlights from our transformative discussions.
That was truly a springboard for the positive ripples we've created, echoing far beyond just these walls. Honored guests and the bright minds gathered here today, it is a pleasure to have with us former Director, Media and Public Relations of CBSE, Ms. Rama Sharma, whose extensive expertise in education offers a unique perspective on mental health awareness in schools. We eagerly await her insights on the connection between education and well-being. Please join me in a round of applause as she shares her wisdom with us today.
A very good. Very warm welcome and good afternoon to each one of you. I think it should work. Yeah, I think I'm audible. It's my privilege to be invited to today's conclave, which is so well named as Project Unboxed, because there is so much that we have to dwell upon, and since morning we have been doing the same exercise. And I think it is all possible because of the dynamic leadership of Madam Marwa, Madam Sadhu, our esteemed colleague, Mr. Pramod Mahajanji. I extend a warm welcome to each of the participants, all the expert panel here, and all the teachers that I've interacted during the course of the day, and to each student who's present here and has been participating wholeheartedly at this crucial and very, very important subject of mental well-being. We have just celebrated the World Mental Health Day on 10th of October, and the theme was Mental Health is a Universal Human Right. This year's theme was Mental Health is a Universal Human Right. This itself tells us about the relevance of mental health in today's times. The development of mental health spreads across the lifespan and is largely based on our understanding of age-related patterns, changes in cognitive, emotional, and behavioral abilities, often termed as developmental milestones, and accomplishing those milestones. Mental and social well-being enable an individual to realize potential, cope up with life stresses, work productively, and contribute to the community. The basic focus of education is to transfer learning and learners from a conditioned curriculum towards a constructivist domain, wherein the learner continuously discovers, formulates, applies, and synthesizes knowledge. Given the fact that the academic choices of class 10 invariably decide our professional paths, there is a need to enhance a student's post-secondary activities and success, or initiate the academic preparation necessary for the workforce, and to meaningfully design relevant skill programs. There are many challenges when we say this, and I say this. The Industrial Revolution 4.0 has brought in an era of digitalization, automation, and the demand for new skill sets. Given the fact that there are a sizable number of adolescents in the age group of 10 to 19 years who are also present here, the working age population will be pushed in coming years. The blueprint of employment will have to be prepared by developing the occupational readiness of the students right through the secondary schooling. This would mean enhancing awareness and capacities with new skill sets and constant upskilling. This would also introduce more courses, shifting in pedagogies, in sync with the demands of new occupations and new industries. Mere structural reforms are not enough to face the 21st century challenges. Quality cannot be equated with the quantum of knowledge. Global trends show changes in demographies, skilling and upskilling, learning and unlearning, socio-economic and geopolitical activities impacting our lives and choices. It is disturbing to note that 1 in 5 children in adolescence experiences a mental health concern during their school years. This is what the research says. Examples include stress, anxiety, bullying, family problems, depression, learning disability, alcohol and substance abuse, serious mental health problems such as self-injuries, behaviors, and suicide in extreme cases. The imbalances such as pressure to perform, exam stress, tough competition, constructing opportunities, and parental pressures play out in classrooms in various forms and expressions of children, maladaptive behaviors, maladjustments, and behavioral disorders. Learning is often related to market forces. It is market-driven instead of individual capabilities, potentials, interests, or aptitude. There may be several reasons for this, most important being the sense of financial security, because inherently we all look for certainty in life and instead of risks and explorations. That is how everyone is wired. So how should we circumvent these problems and make schools and students future ready? Let's ponder upon this and be with me for some time. The role of teachers will have to be rewritten in the contemporary context, especially post-COVID. The drastic changes in lifestyle, relationships, socialization have directly impacted the students and their performances. There are reports indicating academic difficulties, physical and emotional distress, even among young children. The skills and mindset of a teacher, pedagogy, and conducive classroom environment are core to active learning. The art of the teacher in imparting subject knowledge sometimes may not match the classroom environment if students are less receptive or unresponsive. The awareness and access to mental health is another issue, another challenge. While we talk of creating awareness about mental health, reducing social stigma, it is equally important to ensure the availability of tertiary workers, trained force, and caregivers. That is another challenge that I want to speak with you and discuss with you. Project Unboxed has given us the platform to explore, collaborate, and dwell upon 6 carefully curated topics in detail, which each one of us has participated in some session or the other, I'm sure, all those who are present here. I would briefly like to add my viewpoint to reform and perform here. There is a saying which really has impressed me over the years, which says, "To each is given a bag of tools, a shapeless mass, and a book of rules. And each must make mere life its own, a stumbling block or a stepping stone." Creativity for learning and creativity for psychosocial and emotional well-being is well understood by each one of us. There are studies which say that creative pursuits lead to increased brain functions, mental and physical health. The theory of cognition postulates that being creative is actually a basis of human life. There are enough and more studies that show that creative engagements reduce depression and isolation. So there is a need to now rethink and think about the possibilities of integrating creativity, creative pursuits, and bringing joy into the entire process of learning. Because creative pursuits release dopamine or happy hormones, which are natural antidepressants. This is what the studies say. So integration of art with education also helps the child develop a sense of inquiry, investigation, exploration, critical thinking, and above all, experiential learning that we all have been trying to pursue and are in pursuit of, and helps the child derive meaning and understanding while doing. Let's imagine a class where Hindustani classical music is aligned with teaching of fractions in mathematics. There was a maths teacher today I was interacting with. Ma'am, are you there with me? Okay. Let's imagine a class where a Hindustani classical music is aligned, I'll repeat again, aligned with teaching of fractions in mathematics. Who would have thought that learning about elements in chemistry, there were a lot of chemistry teachers today I interacted with, could be possible through haiku, a traditional form of poetry in Japan. Are you there with me? Okay. Such experimentation and innovations infuse interest and appreciation for interdisciplinary learning and also bring joy to the understanding and in the entire process of learning and teaching. Building societies of tomorrow will require preparation today, is what I feel and how I feel. It is very important for us to know that we are preparing, what we are preparing our children for. We must decide if it is sufficient for a student to crack exams like a clever strategist, forgetting all about the joy and wonder of learning and exploration. A child is often caught up in the duality of success and failure, not only in academics but also in life. Sometimes this even leads to existential crisis. And that is why we feel that there are more and more problems, something which we know, some things which we do not even know because it is not detected. So the overall aim is to create a school system that provides more joyful, creative, exploratory, and vibrant school experiences and environment for its learners and teachers. How we face adversities is very crucial to the overall health and well-being. And the answer lies in building hope and resilience. In the face of adversities, resilience, most of you are aware, is defined as a process of adapting well in the face of adversity, tragedy, threat, or significant sources of stress. In the morning, we were talking about the adverse impacts of COVID and how we have struggled to come up with that. So adversity and resilience, they go hand in hand, and it is on us and on mental perception and also on our training, how we are trained to deal with the adversities in life in a positive way. Stress is also positive sometimes. It is not always that stress is negative. And positive stress brings in motivation and an urge to perform even better in life. So I would not totally negate the impact of stress in our lives because there is positive stress also. It is up to us how we trained our minds and how we take our situations as they come. Sheryl Sandberg, an American philanthropist and writer, says, and I quote, "You need resilience to stay generous on the days when you lose faith in humanity. You need resilience to stay true to yourself on the days when others lose faith in you. And you need resilience to preserve on the days when you lose faith in yourself," unquote. Adolescents need constant reassurance and feeling of self-efficacy. They need to be engaged in purposeful activities and meaningful peer connections as well. It is a well-researched fact that human beings benefit greatly from structure, routine, familiarity, and predictability. But when this is disrupted, individuals feel uncomfortable and experience loss of meaning in life. So how do we induce that in our lives is another question and a challenge, and how all of us, I think, will try and find answers to that. And this situation only makes us more vulnerable, stressed, and anxious. There are no two ways about it. Care and compassion is another factor that I would like to bring to everybody's notice here, because research shows that if children are taught to be less self-centered, they find happiness through giving to others and take care of the needs of others. Such children lead joyful, fulfilling lives because they will think more in terms of contribution and less in terms of achievement. The bigger units. Such children lead joyful life, as I said. Care and compassion also means higher order social skills, accepting differences, respecting others, their feelings and perspectives, managing negative emotions, and learning about responsibility, teamwork, cooperation, and hard work. Positive role modeling is another aspect that I'd like to touch upon briefly. Teachers and parents at home should manage their own stress effectively. It's okay not to be okay. Being okay is something which is a state of mind, yeah? And it also depends on the role modeling to an extent. Not fully, but yes, to an extent. Self-realization and self-regulation is also a help. Acceptance and validation and being non-judgmental are also a few things that I think all of us have to understand and practice so that children also learn from us. Generating of hope, we have seen through COVID times how important it had become, because we had all lost hope. Every day there was something very drastic happening in our lives. So generating hope is very, very important. The world is defining the new normal. There are researches and evidences that show that generating hope is a powerful phenomena for survival. It is an antidote to stress. Hope is another effective way of empowerment and resilience. Community participation. We are all sitting here as a community only. That is how I would look at it. And this minimizes the feeling of isolation. When we probe on a problem altogether, like we have been doing, and we have been discussing few things, the 7 topics that we have discussed. So it has all brought us on a single platform, and we are all in tune and on the same page when we discuss about the problems that we face. So community participation helps a great deal. It helps in loss, fear, and anxiety, and regenerating normalcy in the orders and lives. Success is a failure turned inside out, the silver tint of cloud of doubt. And you can never tell how close you were. It may be near when it seems so far. So stick to the fight when you're hardest hit. It's when things seem worse that you must not quit, is my anthem, is my advice to each student who's present here. Never lose hope. Never lose your feeling of participation, opening out to people, forming your communities, building communities, linkages, share your problems, talk to people, and that is what the entire focus of the conclave today is on. Peer leaders as influencers can help in maintaining mental hygiene to a large extent. This mega impact of pandemic has been disruptive, but peer-to-peer counseling can bolster positive behaviors, reduce negative impact of digitalization, which has swept across and altered our lifestyles and activities. We need to focus on the accelerated alternatives, flexibilities, adaptive abilities brought in by these changes. A few reflections about Project Unboxed has shown us today that there is a perceptible attitudinal change among the policymakers, thinkers who are aligned to the reality that mental health and wellness is equally important as physical health, and its far-reaching impacts on individual, families, communities, and economic health of a nation. Therefore, it is pertinent to develop a holistic and integrated curricular vision for mental health, which also includes career guidance and counseling as a continuum from primary to higher classes. There can be focus on building knowledge, skills, and attitudes for life. These should be forward-looking and prepare the young people for future of jobs. We must establish support for concurrent motivation, capacity building, and periodic scale-up guidance. We must establish effective mechanisms for monitoring of this guidance programs, as helpline has been introduced today. We also need constant monitoring of this helpline and also find out what is the outcome of this helpline so that we can constantly improve our initiative and our effort and our endeavors. There can be linkages, of course, with the existing government machineries, with different industries for more participation and exposure of students. There can be efforts to break social barriers and gender biases. There are another example or maybe a suggestion I can give is to create a portfolio system with databases of all skills and competencies of class 10 and 12. If you're not doing it already, then maybe this could be also tried out. Their work-related competencies, including their interests, because interest is equally important. Aptitude and interest are two very intrinsic things for a child's performance and a child's well-being as well. Inclusiveness, as I said, is very, very important because each child matters. Therefore, the role of school is also to prepare responsible, able human beings and citizens. Teaching 21st century skills with focus on life skills will surely help students in holistic progress. Schools have to be future ready, and this also comes, wellness also comes with early identification and intervention, as we have been discussing. And I think the 7 topics that were given to us also point towards that direction only. In the end, I would say that the role of policymakers and education is not only limited to preparing our youth to be able to crack exams, but also provide relevant quality education and transform schools as social, emotional, and physical safety nets. I congratulate each one of you who has been actively participating in this conclave, and I wish and hope that we'll have more such occasions where we can all come on a common platform and discuss these crucial issues and also discuss the outcome of today's conclave. So this should not be just the one-stop program. I would expect that there'll be more to follow, and my congratulations to each one of you. To each student, I extend my best wishes for you for your bright future. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, I would like to invite Ms. Elizabeth Matthew, our Supervisor of Wellbeing. Ma'am, your tireless efforts in steering the ship and your commitment guarantees that the impact of change initiated here today will resonate far beyond these walls.
A very good afternoon to you all. A very good afternoon to you all. It's with great honor and pride that I stand before you to share our well-being journey. Well-being remains a fundamental component of our school experience. To create an impact in the greater ecosystem, we envisioned a conclave that will bring together our youth under one roof to deliberate and arrive at solutions to an immediate crisis that the younger generation will ever face. In the heart of Project Unboxed, 7 committees came together, each with a distinct purpose and a shared vision. Our delegates studied the impact on mental health through various committees like metaverse, resilience, substance abuse, gender roles, gender inequity, resilience, exercise and nutrition, healthcare. Delegates brought forward important topics and challenges that are indicative of how aware they are. Through collective discussions, we could conclude that these challenges and solutions are opportunities to change the world for the better. It has never been more important to talk about our mental health. The fight to normalize these conversations and eliminate the stigma around mental health is an ongoing battle, one in which we all have a role to play. What started in 2018 as a small whisper in our school community has managed to transform our understanding of the landscape of mental health and encouraging positive well-being practices. With Project Unboxed, we take one further step in involving our community in the journey towards acceptance, resilience, self-care, and growth. Our theme today, mapping the mental health of our communities,
serves as the compass which guides us on this journey of advocacy, awareness, and education. This conclave brought together unique minds who created a detailed map that aims to highlight the experiences and needs of all in our communities. I hope that today we have been successful in using the power of dialogue to create an impactful change and bring new perspectives through the lens of our youth who are gathered here. The movement that started as a ripple is creating waves in our community today. Project Unboxed underscores a profound transformation, one where mental well-being is no longer an afterthought, but a core consideration.
Thank you, ma'am, for your priceless perspectives.
Dear esteemed guests, brace yourselves for a riveting exploration of perspectives as we commence with the most awaited part of our session, our panel discussion. Today, our distinguished panelists, each a beacon in their own field, will converge to unravel the complexities of our theme.
Let us embark on a profound journey as we delve into the big picture.
It is an absolute privilege to introduce our first panelist, Mr. Ali Khawaja, a senior instructor at American University of Sharjah, co-founder of Mental Health AE, and founding member of the Blockchain Center. His passion for fostering inclusivity and mental well-being is not just a commitment, but a legacy in the making. Mr. Ali Khawaja, with his wealth of expertise, will lead our Welfare and Equity Committee. Sir, we request you to take the center stage.
Please join me in welcoming Ms. Rowan Salama, a UX researcher at Kareem with a background in behavioral and experimental psychology. As a dedicated and a passionate advocate for the cause of women's rights, Ms. Salama
will be steering our Gender Roles Committee. Ma'am, we request you to take the center stage.
It is an honor to introduce our next panelist, Dr. Sonakshi Rohela, the program head at Curtin University. Her extensive knowledge and passion for mental well-being promises to illuminate our journey. An expert in psychology and health sciences, she will be the driving force of our Resilience Committee. Ma'am, we kindly ask you to grace the center stage.
Now, we would like to invite
Dr. Supriya Kumamuru. She is the Chief Technology Officer of Middle East and Africa, working at Tata Consultancy Services, Dubai. She will be representing
the Metaverse Committee. Ma'am, I request you to join us on stage.
Moving on to our next panelist, Dr. Jagpreet Singh Dheer. He currently specializes in general and laparoscopic surgery at Zulekha Hospital and is a clinical honorary tutor for the University of Edinburgh, MSc program in surgical sciences. He has general surgery training from the Lady Hardinge Medical College in Delhi, India. Please welcome Dr. Jagpreet Dheer on stage as he will preside over the Healthcare Committee.
with an unwavering belief of, if I can do it, so you can. And for that matter, anyone can. We have Ms. Srividya Shudhar leading the Exercise and Nutrition Committee. Inspired by her own journey in exploring various lifestyles to cope with mental health issues, she decided to take this up as a labor of love. Got certified as a nutritionist with a mission to help women stay safe and healthy. Welcome, ma'am.
Dr. Tulika Shukla. She is a DHA certified specialist psychiatrist with over a decade of experience, holding an MD in psychology from NIMHANS, Bangalore. Dr. Shukla is a senior researcher at AIIMS, New Delhi, where she has published over 12 scientific articles and co-developed the Saksham mobile app with NHS UK. She actively collaborates with organizations to champion mental well-being initiatives and will throw light on issues related to substance abuse.
Without further ado, I pass the reins
to our student representatives from the press team, who will take us through a thought-provoking session that transcends all boundaries by offering insights into the holistic nature of well-being and our interconnected existence.
Good afternoon to everyone present. I'm Mohammed Roshan.
And I'm Sara Mullah. We, the press heads, are here to initiate today's discussion.
With great pleasure, I would like to now invite on stage Ms. Rama Sharma, our esteemed moderator. Let's embark on this journey of discovery and insight as Ms. Rama skillfully navigates us through the complexities of our discussions, fostering an environment where every voice is heard and every idea contributes to our collective understanding.
To begin with, I would like to invite Mohammad Mushraf Khan, the moderator for the Welfare and Equity Council, to champion the cause of inclusivity.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon to everyone here. My name is Mohammad Mushraf Khan, and on behalf of the astronomically productive Welfare and Equity Committee, we present the following plan of action that we discussed. One of the key problems that we discussed was the need for more comprehensive and enhanced psychological assessments at different stages in a person's life, and utilizing those diagnoses to provide equity for personnel and integrate that mental health care as a societal necessity in today's world. The first thing that we discussed was describing the stages of these psychological assessments, and the stages that we decided on are basically the stages that we see in our schools, from kindergarten to primary school to higher secondary and to the last stage of our school, high school. Now, the next thing that we discussed was the fact that there is still a certain stigma surrounding such discussions, and when you go to meet your school counselor, you don't immediately reveal all of your secrets to them, do you? And so a part of that was the peer discussion sessions that we discussed. If we invite almost 10 to 15 people in the same room, along with people that you know, it'll be pretty easy for you to actually get over that stigma and actually move into that psychological assessment, a one-on-one essentially, with your school's counselor. The next thing that we decided was these counselors would be professionals from psychiatry and clinical psychology. Psychiatry being the mental health association essentially, and clinical psychology being, well, the clinical aspect of it all. The next topic that we discussed was providing diagnosis with further aid, reducing stigma with guardians by having one-on-one sessions. By providing such diagnosis, we would make sure that further aid would be received to students who required it in the unlikely case they had mental health disorders. And in case the students have an issue with that, and the guardians do too, there will be stigma-reducing sessions, one-on-ones with the guardians themselves in order to implement such sessions and to make sure such diagnoses reach forward to such people. Now, to maintain the privacy the diagnosis held, the only people who will have access to such personal information will be the professional counsel themselves and the respective person that will be providing further aid to the student. The next problem that we discussed was determining the importance of providing psychiatric aid to the unbankable, also known as the financially unstable segments of populations, courtesy of Mr. Ali Khawaja, who provided us with this topic, in order to provide free psyche assessments. Now, in emergency aid, what happens is we usually have emergency healthcare services which are free of charge in case the financially unstable people are unable to provide such financial backup for their assessments. And essentially, what would happen is we would be providing free psyche assessments to such people in emergency aid departments and making mental health one of those emergency aid departments, not under the same branch, but with the same philosophy. The second sub-agenda that we discussed under this is utilizing these psyche assessments to adjust provisions and taxpayer benefits according to diagnosis provided. Now, obviously, people who are financially unstable have a lot more to worry about, including food, water, putting a roof over their heads, and talking about a lot more compared to that. And a benefit of that is that we could adjust the taxpayer benefits that they receive from the taxes that they pay and implement them in the solutions that we provided. So essentially, it would be checking the psyche assessment that were provided, looking at the amount of aid that they require, and adjusting their provisions and benefits accordingly. Thank you. Signing off, Mohammed Musaf Khan for the Welfare and Equity Committee. Thank you, delegates, for amazing sessions that you provided.
Our first question is for Mr. Ali Khwaja. Sir, the first point of the plan of action says that we should implement psychological testing in all levels of education. As a professor yourself, do you think this would truly be constructive for the mental health of students, or would it prove to be just another bunch of stress on the students?
Can everybody hear me? Yeah. Thanks for the question. And the question is interesting in itself, because you're asking for something to be measured, and you're asking if it should be measured. The question rather should be, why isn't it already measured? So if we're talking about at what level should we be measuring mental health and wellness of individuals, the answer is at every level, right? I've got a survey style of question. So I want you to raise your hand if, listen up carefully now, if you know somebody, your friends, somebody at school, your siblings, your parents, somebody in the family, who you feel is experiencing something above a normal level of stress or anxiety or some sort of mental health issue. Let me see hands. Okay. So look around now, and here's where the data gets interesting. Have a look around. It looks like almost everybody has their hands up, yeah? Now put your hands back down. If I was to change the question and say, raise your hand if you are the one experiencing it. Not many. Thank you very much, you're very brave. That two sets of data tell me already the question needs to be asked.
Thank you. We would now like to have a question from the audience. Okay, if there's no question from the audience, can the mic please be passed to the...
Okay. My name is Erin. As for my question, in the context of digital marketing, what strategies have you found to be most effective in reaching and engaging individuals who may benefit from the mental health AE's resources and services?
That's a hard question. And the reason that's a hard question is mental health is not like the Kardashians, not as popular. Unfortunately. So we have tried over the years everything. We've tried everything, paid ads, Google ads, search, you name it. Every single thing that could be done, was tried. Ultimately, what was very impactful and effective for us was part of our meetups that we did. We've done 99 meetups till date, where we had peer-to-peer support groups set up. We created a safe space where you can come and just talk. And even if you don't want to talk, you can come and just listen. And then the word of mouth that came out of that was perhaps the most impactful. So everybody loves to give quotes in speeches. So I'll throw mine here too. In the words of Will Smith, don't hate the player, hate the game. So what that means to you is, don't point fingers and blame. What I'm saying is, if it's not the player's fault and the game is faulty, let's get together and change the game. Let's normalize the conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We would now like to invite our moderator for the Gender Roles Committee, Dinkat Nair.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, distinguished panelists and my fellow ambassadors and the student moderator for the Gender Roles Committee. We were successful in identifying our problems and finding resolutions to these problems. Now on to our plan of action. Our first clause is to form a national regulatory body regular inspections of auditing agencies for inclusivity. This national regulatory body would implement a reporting medium that would be an algorithm that can detect manipulated images. And along with this, we would hold companies and agencies accountable for falsifying images and causing harm to society by setting unattainable societal standards of beauty. Our second clause is mentorship and sponsorship programs to provide women with more support, guidance and opportunities for career growth by connecting them with experienced professionals who can offer advice and advocate for their advancement in many areas of the issues they face on a regular basis while working in male-dominated fields. Our last resolution is student councils in schools in cooperation with teachers to form committees to implement task force in educational facilities, raise awareness about different body types and features, implement a communication forum at schools where students can anonymously report instances of sexism and or harassment, and advertise role models that can challenge existing gender roles. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dinkar. Delving into the Gender Roles Committee, our first question is for Ms. Rohan Salama. Ma'am, in regards to the point in the plan of action about men's mental health, we are aware that in many societies, traditional gender norms often stop men from accessing mental health resources. So how do you think we should redefine these gender roles to encourage men to access healthier coping methods?
First of all, let me thank you for the discussion that I had with the students. It was very impressive. I learned even from them more than I imagined. They were discussing with confidence. They were raising awareness about issues that they are 15-year-old and they are aware of it. So that was really impressive. Regarding gender roles and mental health, especially for men, let me start by statistics that say men are more likely to commit suicide 3.63 times more than women. Although women are more likely to experience suicidal issues, suicidal thoughts, and attempt to suicide. But men are the ones that take their lives 3.63 times than women. So let's start by when you have a son, a boy, 3-year-old or 2-year-old, and then they hit their toes by the table. And they start crying. What is the first thing that they are being told? Don't cry. Men do not cry. You are strong. First of all, men can cry too. Second of all, he is not a man, he is still a boy. And third, when crying doesn't mean that you are weak. This doesn't show weakness actually. It shows that you have strength. You can show strength enough through crying, through expressing your emotions. So since they are young, we educate them that for men, you don't cry, you don't get to show your emotions, you don't get to be vulnerable. And that develops into toxic masculinity. That after that reflects on relationships or at workplaces. They don't know how to explain or express their emotions, and then that comes as aggressive attitude towards their women, towards their daughters, and as I said, even female colleagues. So.
Thank you, ma'am. Those are some great points made, and to get a different perspective, I'd like to hear Dr. Sonakshi Rohela's words on the same. She's a psychologist, so I think she's best equipped to answer this.
Best, I don't know, because we have psychiatrists and surgeons sitting here as well. But something that I agree with is women's health is way more discussed than men's health. You will hardly find centers which talk about men's health so much. And one thing that I can possibly tell you is it has to be in early childhood. It has to start very early as a practice. As my friend here says that you tell the boys don't cry, you know. Creating a psychologically safe space, irrespective of the gender, is required. Whether it is a male, it's a female, it doesn't matter. Every child counts, and for that having a very psychological safe space from the school, from the university is very, very important. And yes, spreading awareness about men's health is too important. See, women issues and accessing and meeting a gynecologist is something which is very, very, it's almost like saying, oh, you know, go meet a gynecologist if you have an issue and if there is something like that. But men's health, I agree that our doctors are sitting here, they can also, share some light or shed some light on it. But we don't talk about men's health so much, isn't it? And why it's very, very surprising. It's because we wish that men are supposedly the authority figures who have to take care of themselves a little more than women. Women are still considered to be ones who are independent and who are dependent on men for some reason. Or maybe it's the physiological way we are formed as well. But to me, the best solution I can offer is create a psychological safe space for students or children and not look at them as males and females.
Throwing this question to Ms. Turika as well. Ma'am, going off what Ms. Sonakshi said, a lot of issues that men go through are kept inside and not really shared publicly. So can we say in some way that a lot of violent eruptions and domestic violence against women can be correlated to gender roles and how men are closed off?
Yes, I think it's a very pertinent point that we keep talking about depression and anxiety being higher in women. Like, when we talk about and we study epidemiologically, we say depression rates are higher in women, anxiety rates are higher in women. Nobody talks about substance use rates being higher in men. So it's a manifestation of the same thing. Emotional distress is, if you're bottling it up, it is coming out in different ways in men, it's coming out in different ways in women. But it's not that men don't experience emotional distress. So yes, so rates of violence, rates of aggression, rates of substance use, road traffic accidents, these are things that are higher, that are manifestation of the fact that distress is higher in men. Equal rather, in both genders.
Sorry, just wanted to add something. So domestic violence happens on men also. It's not like domestic violence happen only on women. We as psychologists and psychiatrists, we see cases where men come and sometimes cry their heart out because they feel, like ma'am said, bottled up. So because you mentioned domestic violence, a woman would be lesser if we focus on men's health. Domestic violence of men would be much lesser also if we promote the topic which is gender roles and equality in general. Thank you.
Thank you for the great overview, ma'am. Now I'd like to invite Ali Siddiqui, moderator for the Resilience Committee, to advocate for the indomitable human spirit.
A very good afternoon to one and all. I, Ali Siddiqui, the moderator of today's Resilience Committee, am here to talk a little lightly about some of the solutions we found in our committee. For solutions, the first thing we need to think about is the problems and problem statements. The first problem we identified was nurturing resilience in vulnerable communities, which particularly encompasses poverty, those refugees and also those in war-torn areas. Now, what we need to understand is it is truly impossible to help someone while they are still currently in. So, in order to combat this, what we have done is we will try to partner with NGOs in order to provide them the resources to escape these situations. That's the most important thing. Additionally, the next problem we identified was resilience in substance abuse, particularly assisting ex-addicts. Our solution here is to provide regular counseling sessions with ex-addicts, along with a 24/7 helpline. So if an ex-addict feels that they are in a moment of particularly low willpower, they will have somewhere to reach out to. Next, we'd also like to discuss the effect of social media and technology on resilience. Now, we've chosen to use social media to its advantage. Using social media, we can set up motivational pages to help inspire people to work on their habits of resilience. Additionally, groups like Facebook groups or even subreddits can be identified in order to help people find communities where people are trying to nurture their resilience. Now, with all that being said, I'd like to finally thank Dr. Sonakshi for coming here and ask you to provide a bit more insight into our committee sessions. Thank you so much.
I think we had a great time talking about resilience, and what was more brave was what students picked up and chose. Out of the 6 topics that were given, there were 3 topics that we picked up, and one of them was vulnerable population, the other was substance abuse, and the third was social media and technology. So please give a huge round of applause for the students who chose this topic. And from where I'm sitting, this is not a huge round of applause. So please give them a huge round of applause. Thank you. These were brave choices. We spoke a lot about community outreach programs. We spoke a lot about support groups. And something that I'd like to sum up here is that, you know, because you're school students, majorly most of you sitting here are school students, the youth is the future of tomorrow, as they say. So I was thoroughly impressed with the focus on society building, social support, community outreach, which was discussed in resilience. So it's not like we have the duty of creating one resilient person. We have a responsibility of creating a resilient society, community, nation. And that is what was discussed in the sessions today. I also commend the team of Fali and the others because they did a tremendous job, and all the school students who participated as well. Thank you.
Ma'am, if I could just ask you one more question. Ma'am, today you've had the chance to sit through committee sessions with so many young people. So have you seen a contrast between the young people's outlook on mental health and the adults you've talked to?
Actually, that's a beautiful question if you see, isn't it? Young people's outlook and the traditional, or as you say, the adult. You know, sometimes as adults, we are more skeptical in something. We don't want to provide it to our children. Today, when I was in this session, I realized that the students actually have a huge bandwidth. Their acceptance of things, their discussions are, they want to be given that platform where they can openly discuss things. As adults, sometimes we provide helicopter parenting. Sometimes we become that surveillance over their head. We're like, oh, we don't want our children to grow too fast. But we fail to realize our children have grown. So that's something that I found as a difference, and I was quite taken aback because, and impressed also, because students were discussing about limitations, challenges, but also at the same time they were talking about opportunities for resilience. Like we spoke a lot about how vulnerable population, there are so many women in the world who are unable to get the right medical attention if they're pregnant. And naturally, this is not something that we would open up and discuss in schools, So when it came from the participants, it made me feel, oh, this is amazing, This is great job. So I think as adults, we need to probably let students construct their own meaning, and they're way more ready than we expect them to be. So that's the difference that I found out.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Sharma, we would like to know your views on the points that have just been raised.
Well, I'll just like to add a few points to whatever has been said earlier. To your point, ma'am, I think all the adolescents today are looking for a purpose in life. And I think that's very important, and I'm glad that this is the reflection that we have got from today's conclave. And they want their participation also. I may be deviating a little, but then, yesterday I was going through some literature which said that when you go into gaming, what is it that the children are attracted to? And one of the children was saying live that it is the autonomy that I get. I am the master of my own rules. So I think that is very important. Somewhere we have to take a leap of faith and also trust them with whatever they are trying to do and give them that freedom and space where they can innovate and create and be responsible. One thing I like to tell all my young fellows here is that you do whatever but with moderation. You see, technology has given us a free hand. The obsolescence of technology we are all aware of. Whatever is here today will not be there tomorrow. So we keep on jumping the loop from one end to another, but at the same time we have to be cognizant of the fact that how to use that technology, how to optimize that use. Use it to your advantage and not become a slave of the technology, and that is what is lacking today in some of us, I will not say everybody who's present here, I don't mean to make any comment on this, but yes, definitely we'll have to do certain kind of regulation, self-regulation, also with the autonomy that we get when we access all these gadgets and when we get an access to, life as such. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. After our overview on the Resilience Committee, followed by some comments from a psychological aspect, we would love to hear your opinions, Dr. Jakpreet Deer, from a healthcare point of view.
Hello, dear students, dear ma'am, dear principal ma'am, and all the very esteemed and very highly knowledgeable group of psychiatrists, psychologists, media people, and the guys who run this show. So I'm a surgeon, I'm a general surgeon, and my children passed out from here. My younger one passed out just a year back, so I can imagine them somewhere there. Looking at the point of view as a parent, as well as giving a brief from my surgical knowledge. I don't think a lot of surgical knowledge is required actually here, but then there are some kind of mental health things that we can talk of here. One thing which I realized that this group, this generation is a very, very well-informed generation. If I would ask anything about my mobile or anything, those guys will have 10 solutions at hand right then and there. So I find sometimes myself very obsolete in talking to this generation. I feel I am kind of old and now it is their turn. It is actually their turn. But where do the roles of parents or the senior people come? So where does it come? So some things will just never change. You see, someone was talking about the mental, the chemical changes which happen during exercise. You see, some things will just never change. For example, the role of exercise and keeping yourself physically healthy. Keeping yourself physically healthy in order to achieve a sound mind. Just like they say, a sound mind rests in a sound body. So when you keep yourself physically fit, you work to make yourself physically fit, you do some exercise, some walking, there are chemicals released in the body which change your mental frame, your perspective from somewhere being a little lazy. For example, there is a coursework that you want to, you're feeling lazy, you're saying, let me do it tomorrow, and maybe it's too lengthy, I just don't want to do it, it's too big for me. And suddenly you go for an exercise or a little bit of a treadmill or a physical work, and end of it, these chemicals, they produce a magical kind of a work so that you have an approach that let me try. From the frame of I can't do or I'll do it tomorrow, you change to let me try. So that's the kind of chemical changes which happens when you do physical exercise. So some things which never change, physical exercise, sleep. Sleep is, it heals you from inside. Mentally, emotionally, physically, have adequate sleep.
Food. Mama says, don't take fast food. Why she says? Because this fast food has fine flour. And Mama says you take
homemade chapati. Why she says that? Because it's made of whole grain, the whole wheat. And you know that this whole wheat, when we take, we are less predisposed to malignancy or
the cancer of GIT. So everything Mama says, fresh food, take home cooked food, there's a scientific reason to it. So you can
fall back on your parents for advice. The best friends that you have in life is your parents. Try to open up to them, try to talk to them, try to be friends with them. Okay. If you aren't able to talk about issues very private to you, talk to your friends, open up with someone. Teachers are there, and as we came to know, there are counselors who are available. You can approach the counselors. Approaching the counselor is another thing which I want to talk about, the stigma attached to approaching a counselor. Let me tell you about our
Healthcare. The healthcare, being a doctor, the sleepless nights, and the doctor is supposed to be like a perfect, he cannot be having a mental health issue. He's just perfect. So to admit that I have a mental health issue, you feel you are weak,
perceived as being weak if you say I have a mental health issue, or your colleagues may stop talking to you. So you are afraid to bring out your mental health issues. So this is one thing which is so difficult. You have a counselor, but it's not easy to approach a counselor. If I am a doctor, and I'm a doctor in US, and I am on a psychiatric medicine, I will have this noted in my file, and I go for employment, they take a due note, and there may be employment problems for me. So this is somewhere where the legislation, the political aspect of it takes their role comes in, when they can avoid having any actual employment problems if someone is having mental health issues. So regarding the stigma, each one of us can openly express, even we are normal, we can tell that this is our mental health issues. I am suffering from depression. They can voluntarily put their videos on YouTube or somewhere to let those who actually need, who are too introvert to come forward and then approach a counselor. This gives them a head start to approach those counselors and start from somewhere. And lastly, there is now the artificial intelligence, the chat GPT. So the technology is here to help us. Many times we think that this technology will take our role as a doctor, the computer will take over the role as a psychologist. But the technology is here to help us. We have to embrace this technology. There are apps where you can see how likely are you to have a mental health issue. And such things are being developed each day. I believe those are the things which I would like to share as a doctor without taking much time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Your points truly resonate with us. Now, Sara, if I'm being honest, all work and no play makes Roshan a dull boy.
On that note, let's move to a short, fun-filled break.
after that amazing video, we would now like to welcome on stage the moderator for the Substance Abuse Committee, Aryan Khanna.
Addiction is not a choice. It's a response to pain. Let us heal the wounds that lead to substance abuse. For in that healing, we find hope and redemption. Good afternoon, one and all. My name is Aryan Khanna, and I am student moderator for the Substance Abuse Committee. Our first agenda was the substance abuse epidemic among teenagers. For this, we recommend to limit sales of nicotine products to specific shops and stop the sale of these substances in highly visited family areas. We also recommend and wish to promote the research of artificial substances, helping individuals who are fallen prey to substance abuse to get over their addiction. The second agenda was the stigma and barriers prevalent to people wanting to seek help on addiction. For this, to use person-first language. We believe as a committee that using stigmatizing labels like addicts or substance abuser create a barrier and stigmatize the addict in society. Hence, we recommend to use words that reinstate the individual's humanity. We also urge governments to create job regulations for those who make it through rehabilitation to ensure a life after that they look up to achieve. Our last agenda was reducing the long-term effects of substance abuse. For this, we have substance abuse counselors in educational and workplaces. Today, we embark on a mission to reclaim lives from the clutches of addiction. Ladies and
gentlemen, I believe we have achieved it. Thank you and have a great day ahead.
Thank you, Aryan. To understand the trends on substance abuse, we now turn to Dr. Tulika Shukla. Ma'am, could you throw some light on the distorted cause-effect relationship between mental health and substance abuse? How does one affect the other?
Well, so you can understand it in different ways. First and foremost, there is an underlying vulnerability to both other mental health disorders as well as substance use. So, for example, a disorder like ADHD puts you at higher risk for depression, also puts you at higher risk for substance use. The second is the cause-effect kind of a picture where heavy substance use and dependence can lead to a mental health disorder. It can induce a mental health disorder like psychosis or depression or anxiety. The third one is the other way around. People self-medicate. So if you are having depression and you're not able to sleep or you have emotional distress, you're self-medicating with substance use. That's the third way it can be correlated. So you have to look at it in a holistic perspective, in a longitudinal perspective, and then you can make the correlation.
Thank you, ma'am.
I want to add something to this, but this would be a message to students. The environment and the community that you are in influence your behavior and the way of thinking. So you got to choose your friends and the people that you surround yourself with. If you saw that this person is doing a negative behavior or is doing something that is against your beliefs or values, first, you have to communicate this with the school, you have to communicate this with the parents, just for the child's sake. Second, you got to be picky and selective with the people that push you forward to a bright future, not hold you back from achieving higher heights. Thank you.
Thank you for the insight, ma'am. Next, we have the moderator of the Metaverse Committee, Arjun Yadav, to emphasize the need to create a virtual space that nurtures rather than hinders our well-being.
A very good afternoon to one and all present here. I, Arjun Yadav, as the moderator of the Metaverse Committee, am here to present the fact that Metaverse is a cutting-edge piece of technology that has emerged. Problems like digital literacy and the lack of infrastructure on a global and personal scale are among the problems that add to the lack of dimension when it comes to the argument, are we ready for the Metaverse? At this exact point of time, the committee believes that the world is not ready for the Metaverse, and solutions in order to become ready are promoting digital awareness programs, coming to a fundamental realization of the transform socialization, digital literacy programs that have to be promoted within society, beta programs to induce participation and gradual integration of the metaverse in daily life should be encouraged. And new problems that will be introduced by the advent of the metaverse must be identified at the earliest to ease the transition. I wish to extend my deepest appreciation to Mr. Naveen Bharadwaj and all the committee members for making such a dynamic committee possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Arjun. Let's dive into the metaverse with Dr. Supriya Kumumuru. Ma'am, the metaverse is something that's revolutionary. We have only seen stuff like this in the movies. Ma'am, so now as we shift from the physical realm to a digital realm, how does that affect the youth mentally, the people who grew up in this digital realm?
Thank you. Am I audible? Yeah, so I think I'm so impressed with what people are speaking, and I think I have a young group which is so well versed, but I think the audience should also have included the parents who really need to be more aware of accepting that there's something called mental health, because the social fabric doesn't, I think part of that where when I was told 10 years back by my daughter that I have a problem, I need to see a psychiatrist, it shook me a little, but yes, I did approach to address a problem. So that was one of the comments I wanted to make before I, delve into the question that you asked. Like he said, it's a cutting-edge technology, and I will take the analogy of a surgeon's knife, right? It could be used for surgery, or you could also use it to kill a person. So metaverse, in that sense, it is emerging. It's still not there. People have different forms, and you know what, I'm sure today morning you had discussions around what is a metaverse. It's more on the AVVR technology. We are still working on it. There are metaverse worlds. So in the concept, I would say, now if you're talking of health, after gaming, they say health will be the next big industry for metaverse, which is called the medverse. So having said that, how do we address it from a physical to a virtual world? I think over the years, the physical spaces and the virtual spaces have evolved. The social fabric, which was about 20, 30 years ago, I would say more than 30, where we had smaller physical spaces. I mean, it was a big family, but less space, and you actually interacted physically. But as development happens, I think the whole fabric changes. It's nuclear families, bigger spaces, and people are more in virtual space. And I think almost all of us spend 2 to 3 hours of screen time. We are also culprits to it, and as an industry, we also try to take you through that experience. Having said that, we can't stop technology from moving ahead. So I think what we need to do is identify how you can leverage it. And there are many fields that metaverse can help you in when you move from physical. So the shortage in terms of help that you would get from a physical entity or interacting, for example, during COVID, I mean, you could not see a doctor, but what enabled it was a virtual environment. Schools teaching, and I know most schools were up and running within no time. I mean, they thought holidays, but yeah, you were engaged through different platforms, and I think one of you said it actually, made everyone digital savvy. Teachers who could not, and I know students who are taking advantage of the fact that probably our generation is not tech savvy, and during the virtual classes, I still know, I mean, I watched those happening, and students were actually putting in information out there where teachers could not control, because I think it was a learning phase for all. Yes, there are advantages. I think we need to move relevant to that, leverage it for what is needed, not for all. And I would say metaverse, yes, is there to stay. It will evolve. Now we are from Web 1.0 to 0.2 to now it's Web 3.0, which I'm sure most of you are much more aware than I would be, because more of my younger colleagues are on it. But yes, as a comparison, leverage where it is required. And I wish I had a larger parent community here when we say, can you misuse the metaverse? We can't take technology away, and you obviously are much more tech savvy than us. Like he said, probably his phone. You're wired to actually use technology and gadgets. So if you actually buy an iPhone, when it first came into the market, I was trying to look for a user manual. And I was told there's no user manual. So people who actually grow up with that, they know how to, they imbibe, I mean, they're out there. So I think let's teach our children the right from the wrong. You can't stop technology. Those are some basic principles. And we need to be more aware. So the foundation is more from how you live, how you build those principles. And I'm sure the school does, thank you to all the teachers who really have a tough job. It was not easy. People think working in schools is easy, but I think it's easier working in a corporate. Thank you. Yeah.
Of parents, because there is live streaming of this event. But for once, students have a voice and they are muted.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope they're hearing me, because I as a parent would say...
Yeah, there's live streaming, so they can only hear you, but today students talk.
Yeah, so the message is to the parents. Please listen to them. They know much more, and I think you have to actually empathize. And there are two things which I want to tell them. Please don't judge, just listen. I mean, these are lessons I would say I have learned them. The social fabric teaches us a parent knows what all. So the minute the child starts saying something, we start judging and giving answers. So I think the time is for us to just listen, empathize, don't judge, don't compare, let them grow, and just teach them some right and wrong things. That's it. I mean, you can't go beyond that. Thank you, Unal.
As far as we all talk about AI and metaverse and ChatGPT, today is the first program, Something for Emotional and Mental Well-being, has been launched. So we are in two different worlds. Somewhere in between we need to find the balance.
Excuse me. Could I share this? I'm going to read it out. It's a beautiful thing. It's for the parents. You see, as parents, obviously, sometimes we think that they are our children, so we own them. You know, like they're like my child or my son. So something which is beautiful. It's just few lines. Your children are not your children. They are lives longing for itself. They are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts. For they have their own thoughts, which dwell in tomorrow, which you can't visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. I think it's just profound.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have the moderator for the Exercise and Nutrition Committee, Ananya Srivastav, to emphasize the need for healthy lifestyles.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, standing in front of you, we preach for the betterment of mental health and well-being, and in turn, the betterment of our minds. The Exercise and Nutrition Committee presents to you our plan of action we discussed today in companionship with Ms. Srividya Sridhar. Clause A. We urge the government to collaborate with the private sector by supervising possible misleading information on nutrition labels of company products. Clause B. Schools and office spaces should make physical education mandatory for every student and employee to attend. It could be implemented as break or after work hours. Clause C. Just like Project Unboxed, we suggest more campaigns to be put forward in schools around the world push forward in our progression for mental health awareness. Clause D, we suggest youth congresses and educational institutions to set public forums to discuss exercise and nutrition regimes with individuals struggling with mental health diseases. And finally, Clause E, we advise the organization of telehealth services specializing in providing remote access for their services at all times in rural communities. We look forward to the panel discussions ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ananya. Let's analyze the plan of action with Ms. Srividya Sridhar.
Ma'am, considering the rise in the number of adolescents suffering from eating disorders and body dysmorphia, how do you suggest we can form healthy relationships with food, nourishing our bodies while also maintaining our mental health?
Coming to healthy relationship with food, you all must remember there is no bad food. Food is food. It gives something or the other to your body. You just need to know how to quantify and how to see the quality of it. Only that matters. What's the other question that you asked?
In light of number of cases that are rising in body dysmorphia.
Body dysmorphia, there is a big influence of social media for body dysmorphia. So, as far as you all know about the AI and metaverse and other things, please don't fall for the pictures or the images that are put on the social media. 99% of the time, it is either a paid partnership or a marketing gimmick that is shown on the social media. You have to always see behind the lights, because otherwise the social media is so huge that it takes you for a ride. You will not know what to do, what not to do, and you will be entirely confused and stuck. So number one, I will say that keep social media images or regarding this body dysmorphia or anything to a very, very minimum. Unless that motivates you to take charge of your life, your eating habits, your physical routine, don't go for it. Because there are people just to show the images of before and after and just hook you up on this. You really don't know what kind of professional assistance went behind it or what kind of time frame did it take for them to achieve that. There are so many hidden agendas on that, so just don't go for the social media thing. And please be open when you feel that you're not okay and you're kind of stuck with eating a lot of junk food or anything, because it's kind of a vicious cycle. When you're not in the right frame of mind, your body craves for certain things and your body starts producing the
giving them some high GI foods which increase your insulin and sugar levels and all that. That in turn will make you very, very lethargic and you become a couch potato and you just start surfing or very unproductive things you will be doing. That will lead to obesity, and obesity again will lead to eating high GI food. It's kind of a vicious cycle. So please be mindful and talk to somebody and say that I need to get out of this space. This is going to affect you mentally and physically as well. So you have to take the courage, or if somebody identifies that, okay, there is something wrong, just grab that opportunity. You may not be in the right position to ask help, but when someone identifies that and say that, hey, I think you need help, then get hold to that. There is no, as everyone said, there is no stigma attached to it. Because I have my own example. I had been on the obese side of, whenever I went to the doctor, the one thing was said was, you need to lose weight. But nobody gave me an idea of how to lose weight. I have did all the diets which are shown in the Google and failed miserably. Within 2-3 days, all my foods come in front of my face and I just lose track. So it's not like that. So I am not a profession in this for many years. I have certified myself as a nutritionist only recently, 7 years before. Because this is a profession totally out of my passion. I know that people are struggling and there is no proper hand-holding for it. You don't have to eliminate any kind of food, mark my words. You just need to know how to balance it and how to include it in your daily routine. That's all matters.
Yeah, so I would just like to add something very important you mentioned about eating for reasons other than hunger. So that's called as emotional eating, when you're not eating because you're feeling hungry, but it's because of some emotional need that you have. How do you know that you are not eating out of hunger and you're eating out of one of those reasons? You'll crave for something called as highly palatable foods. Foods which are very high in sugar, which are very high in fat, which are very high in salt, and you're using them for the emotional purposes, not for their nutritive value. So that's a good way of distinguishing that when you're doing emotional eating versus when you're eating out of hunger.
I think so. Like we deal with obesity surgery. Many of our patients are obese. So, as rightly said by both the panelists, this is actually the cause. Most of the times, it's just to take out the stress, just to elevate yourselves, that people indulge in eating. They don't want to eat, as she rightly said, emotional eating. So, and this mind is a very, very miraculous and very strange, funny thing. You know, it always cheats you to go towards that side. And these same people, when they undergo obesity surgery and they lose weight and they have a new body image, the surgery, we tell them before doing surgery that surgery is going to last with you for only 1.5 years. It's later you yourselves to adapt to a new lifestyle, to a healthy lifestyle which includes healthy eating, healthy walk, which is going to take you throughout the life. And only those people who take up this new lifestyle are able to utilize the benefits of surgery for their lifetime. While there are others who quickly roll back to their earlier eating habits and are up again in the hospital for yet another revision surgery. It's your mind, so please take control of it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Finally, I'd like to call upon Anusha Mathrani, moderating the Healthcare Committee, to highlight the symbiotic relationship between mental and physical health.
Good afternoon, one and all. I am Anusha, student moderator for the Healthcare Committee. The main aim of our committee is to harness community social responsibility to help healthcare workers and explore the implications of reduced well-being, especially during the pandemic. During the course of the discussion, the solutions proposed were: teletherapy can be normalized, which is accessible and affordable and provides anonymity. Mandatory periodic psych evaluations for healthcare workers can improve patient care and worker quality of life by enabling early identification and treatment. Reduce stigma and improve mental health, support increase the mental health of education, emphasize teamwork, reduce competition at the school level. Enable healthcare workers to share experiences, collaborate in addressing mental health challenges. Thank you.
Can I just make a few observations? Because I think I was more directing this at the parents, and this is more for the children. I'm sure many of you are thinking of taking up different careers, and I think metaverse, whatever name that's a buzzword, but I think there are different variants of it. how can you positively use it and what to avoid? If I take, there are so many fields of metaverse which are creating great traction. And for children, especially when we are talking of mental health, there are many who are extroverts, but there are many who are introverts. They may have their own interests where they want to share, but they are shy of coming out in a public forum. I think this provides that platform to actually give vent to your creativity. You'll probably find people of like-minded people who have same interests, because it's a virtual universe. You can connect to them, share your interests, have dialogues across the globe, which was not present earlier. This is something good which can relate directly to mental wellness, I would say. It's not just about metaverse. I know people over the years have been using other social platforms. Now you have the Insta, the Facebook. There's a good part to it where you can leverage. You have friends across the globe who have people with similar interests. And while we are talking of this extrovert, the mental wellness, there are many solutions which have also been directed at children with physical disabilities and also children with autism, which Metaverse has helped, I would say the AVVR platforms. And we also are, I think, emerging to a level where you work and create different metaverses which in business, because you now have the concept of NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, which I'm sure many of the students here are aware. So there's economy on which you can build your business. So these are the plus side, and any profession you take, because technology is omnipresent, we can't go away from it. We need to leverage it. But there are also some challenges which I think you need to be aware of, especially sharing your data and cyber crimes which happen on the internet. Be very cautious about what you share and talk to people. You should have some guardrails. I think many policies are coming around how do we build those guardrails. So in a physical environment, it was very easy to have policing. We still have the physical infrastructure, but when we are talking of a virtual world, probably that's a challenge. And I'm sure you are at least aware of someone who's been subject to this cyber crime. It's happening as I speak. But cyberbullying for children, I think you need to be cautious of that. If you interact and you feel that you're not comfortable, please come out of that, because your data is being used, abused. So these are some things I would talk from the point of metaverse or technology perspective, while leverage it constructively, but be cautious of being abused in the metaverse, which I think you should share with at least your friends, your parents, if they're willing. But these are some, I thought, messages which children should get from using metaverse as a technology.
Thank you, ma'am. To draw meaningful links between today's conclave and the healthcare industry, we have a question for Dr. Jagpreet Singh Deed.
Yes, dear.
Sir, your expertise includes bariatric surgery. What is the impact, the psychological impact of bariatric surgery on individuals suffering with obesity?
We just talked about it actually. So anyways, let me just sum it up once again. So this obesity comes with a whole set of problems, breathing problems, heart problem. These people are overweight, so they have knee issues, and most importantly, they have low self-esteem. They are somehow they find their craving is answered by just food. So somehow they push themselves into the eating, and that gives them mental high, and they keep on eating, as we just discussed. And once they undergo the bariatric surgery, the one thing which changes is their body image. You know, they reduce weight tremendously, and they have a new body image. They have a new spring in their step. Earlier, they are not able to climb stairs, but now here they are walking, they're jumping, they're able to take up any physical activity which they were earlier craving. They don't have hunger. Earlier they used to be hungry and always trying to restrict themselves to have food, but now here they're not feeling hungry, they're eating less, but yet they are feeling very energetic, ready to take up. So it's a kind of a very good incentive to take up a new lifestyle of low eating, less healthy eating, and healthy lifestyle like walking. All our patients, they undergo prior to this psychiatric evaluation about any psychiatric disorder. But they are told very well that if you're going to take up this healthy lifestyle and healthy food, only then you're going to sustain your weight loss for your life. So ultimately, it is the mind. For the mind, I want to also, I'm just while I was sitting, I'm reminded of a story. This story is about a guy who's broke and he's failed in business, and the person from who he borrowed the money, they're after his life. And this guy decides to end his life, to just go for a suicide. And he's finally in a park, and then he just about to jump off, and finally he just sitting and planning his suicide, and he meets a guy in the park, and then this guy asks him, what is the problem? He says, I'm totally like this and I'm totally lost in the business. Say, no problem, I'll give you a check here, take this 10, 100,000 and go ahead, it's okay, I'm giving you free, like that. Now this guy, on one side, under despair and no hope, and he's just about to end the life. Now he has this money, a check with him. Now his mind starts to work in another way. He puts the check in his pocket and goes back and again tries to have a dialogue with his creditors and asks them for more time and try to not use this check. He tries to again go back and revise his manufacturing and other things and found where all he can improve. And after a little push, his business starts to improve. And then he comes back to a time when he's able to return the check. So when he was with this guy, there was a promise that after 6 months he will return the money, without any interest, like that. So when he's there, the news is that this guy who gave him the check, actually it had no value. He was someone who was crazy. He was here distributing checks like that. I mean, he was out of a mental institution like that. Okay. But just the hope that he gave changed his mind so much. So this mind is so powerful. It can really change you. So my message here is that just try to be with the positive things. Try to talk to your friends. Try to listen to the positive stories. They all motivate you. And also I want to tell a little bit about motivation, last line.
But I think maybe can we cut it?
So I will give it to Ms. Rama. I think she wanted to say something and then I cut her in.
I think there are few takeaways now. I think we are inching towards the end of, So I'll just like to tell my friends who are present here that, we understand that you are at the crossroads of adolescence and adulthood, and that's a very critical stage. But at the same time, your self-image is very important. All the 7 topics that have been discussed today only point towards one thing, according to me, and that is that you need to reflect on what is right for you and what is wrong for you. You have to draw the line. Peer support can be of great importance when we are talking about body shaming and bullying in schools. Bullying also happens because of the physical appearances and overweight and so many things, and we know the drastic consequences that it has given. So the only thing that one can do is have confidence, develop self-support, help groups so that you can help each other, because that is the best thing that we can look forward to after this conclave. And move ahead in a very positive and very determined manner, that whatever we have learned today, we will try and implement it in our lives in letter and spirit. I would now request if anybody else has anything else to add. Yeah, so these are my final words.
Thank you,
Thank you very much.
This panel discussion, featuring insights from various experts in diverse fields, has granted us perspectives into the multifaceted aspects of mental health. We are profoundly grateful to our esteemed panelists for sharing their wisdom and expertise on the complexities of mental health.
One last word.
Yes.
I think a collective round of applause for all the organizers, for all the young students. May you have more power and wisdom. That's the blessing from all of us. All the best.
Thank you, ma'am. Following a deeply contemplative session that went beyond our conventional limits into the interconnected topics of well-being, we now hand over the reins to Stuti and Mahir. Signing off, I'm Mohammad Roshan.
And I'm Sara Mullah.
And I just want to add one line on behalf of DPS Sharjah. What we saw today is just a glimpse of a beginning, and we have a very strong guest speaker program where each one of you will have to give us more time so that the topic individually can be taken up on a much greater and a much more elaborate level. Thank you for your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and participants, we have reached the end of the Youth Mental Health Conclave. I, Stuti Vora,
and I, Mahir Tonsing, Vice President's Wellbeing and Conclave Heads for Project Unboxed 2023, take this opportunity to thank everyone present here today for coming together to address the impending mental health crisis that we face. It has truly been an incredible journey filled with inspiring talks and insightful discussions.
the conversations we've had and the stories we've shared have reaffirmed the importance of addressing the topic of mental health, especially among our youth. We've heard from experts, mental health professionals, and our revered alumni. The stories are a powerful reminder that addressing the topic of mental health is critical in our age and that no one should have to suffer in silence.
In recognition of the vital role that effective communication plays in addressing the critical issue of youth mental health, we are thrilled to introduce the Best Speaker Awards. This award aims to honor the individuals who have made a significant impact in their respective committees earlier today.
I request Ms. Rama Sharma to present the awards to the best speakers of our 7 committees. We request our Principal and Director, Ms. Vandana Marwa, to kindly join us on stage as we announce the recipients of the Best Speaker Award. The Best Speaker Award for the Welfare and Equity Committee goes to Aza Abrar Dar.
The Best Speaker Award for the Gender Roles Committee goes to Ahadali Suchetina.
Please go for here.
The Best Speaker Award for the Resilience Committee goes to Juveria Sayed.
Make sure your voice is heard. Not only today, always.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
The Best Speaker Award for the Substance Abuse Committee goes to Shaunab Chakrabarti.
All good things come in small packages, yes? Very impressive.
The Best Speaker Award for the Exercise and Nutrition Committee goes to
Metaverse.
Ashika Sai.
Exercise and nutrition. Yeah, she announced exercise and nutrition. Can't come this side.
The Best Speaker Award for the Metaverse Committee goes to Razeen Ashik.
The Best Speaker Award for the Healthcare Committee goes to Ananya Pramod. Congratulations to all the winners. We encourage everyone to continue their vital work in supporting youth mental health. Thank you, ma'am. Kindly be seated.
We request all our esteemed panelists and moderators to accept a token of our appreciation, especially curated by iCreate department at our school, using CNC and laser printing technologies. We request everyone on stage to kindly join for a group picture.
Curated by our CNC and 3D
Thank you, distinguished guests and ma'am. We would like to express our deepest appreciation to our chief guest, Ms. Rama Sharma, for sparing her valuable time to be with us today. We are truly honored by your presence and the wisdom that you have shared with us. We also extend our gratitude to our distinguished panelists who have shared their valuable insights and explored with us today, enriched our understanding and left with us so much to reflect upon.
Thank you to our respected Principal and Director, Ms. Vandana Marwa, for being a constant source of inspiration for the entire school. Your guidance and support has been truly inspiring. We would like to thank
We would want the team project Unboxed. Please come forward. All those who've been part of the presidents, please take the center stage and we're going to give you the loudest round of applause for all the hard work you have done. Where is Sarthik? Where are the others?
Everyone in the working team, please take a step forward.
the entire working team kindly come to the center stage.